My mom always told me my best friend's father was a monster. When I discovered the truth, I confronted her, but she tried to shut me up and move us away. My mom told me to stay away from the monsters. The problem was, she was pointing at the wrong house. It all started when I was 12, the day Brian walked into my class. He was tall, athletic. He should have been instantly popular. But instead, the entire room went ghost white. The air went thin. Even our teacher, Mrs. Squelch, looked like she'd seen a ghost. I was the only one who didn't get the memo. So, when lunchtime came, I sat down next to him anyway. Everyone, and I mean everyone, including Brian himself, stared at me like I'd grown a second head. "You actually want to be my friend?" he asked, his voice filled with genuine disbelief. We spent the whole day just having a blast. I didn't really have any friends, so I went home practically buzzing, excited to tell my mom I'd finally made one. But when I told her his name, her face drained of color. "Stay away from that kid," she said, her voice low and serious. "Him and his dad are monsters. They hit and hospitalized their mom." I was just shocked. The next morning, Mom drove me to school. She marched right up to my teacher and whispered something that made Mrs. Squelch nod grimly. When I tried to sit near Brian, she moved my seat. I glanced across the room and saw him, his head down, trying so hard not to cry. It got worse. During recess, he stood alone by the fence while everyone else played. After school, I saw why. Brian's dad pulled up in his car, and the entire pickup area just cleared out. Parents literally grabbed their kids' hands and power walked away. I even heard one mom whisper, "Don't look at him, sweetie," to her daughter. Brian's dad just sat there, his head bowed, while Brian climbed in. The whole town treated them like they were evil, but it just didn't add up. I'd see Brian's dad pack him extra granola bars for kids who forgot lunch money. Brian stayed after school to tutor special needs kids. Voluntarily. There was just no way this was a family of monsters. Then came the day I learned who they really were. I was walking home, counting the $50 my grandma had sent for my birthday, when 3 eighth graders cornered me. "Look at the rich boy," the biggest one sneered, and then shoved me to the ground. They snatched my money, and one of them kicked me hard in the ribs. I just curled into a ball, waiting for it to get worse, when suddenly, they scattered. Brian's dad was just standing there. He hadn't touched anyone. He just stood. "You okay, kid?" he asked, his voice gentle, before helping me up. He walked me all the way home without another word. When I told my mom what happened, she completely lost it. "He approached you? What if he'd taken you somewhere?" She was on the phone with the school in seconds. "A known abuser confronted my son," she kept repeating, her voice shaking with rage. By the next day, the whole school knew. The principal sent out a mass email banning Brian's dad from school property. Parents shared it all over Facebook, calling him a predator who lurked around children. At school, Brian looked destroyed. He just sat with his head on his desk. When I tried to slip him a note saying thanks, he pushed it back. "Please don't," he whispered, his voice cracking. "You're making things worse for him." A couple of weeks later, I found him crying in the library, trying to hide it. I sat down next to him anyway. "They spray-painted Predator on his car," he choked out. "He lost his job because of it. We might lose our apartment." He wiped his eyes, hard. "Everyone hates him, but they don't know anything." "What do you mean?" I asked. Brian looked around, making sure we were alone. And then he dropped the bombshell. It turns out, he and his dad never, ever hit their mom. It was the other way around. She was the one who hit them. She'd throw bottles, smash pans, break plates, use lighters. Brian showed me a faint, silvery scar on his back, a burn mark. Then, "Why was your dad blamed?" I whispered. That's when he just broke down completely. He told me that on top of all the abuse, she always held one threat over his dad's head. If he ever left and took Brian with him, she'd tell everyone that he was the abuser. My face went pale. "And that's what she did," Brian sobbed. When Dad finally got me out, she took him to court and lied about everything. But why does everyone believe her? Because they are idiots who can't do a simple Google search. He pulled out his phone and showed me something that shattered everything I thought I knew. Screenshots of police reports, court documents, medical records. There were photos of deep, ugly bruises on his dad's arms. A hospital report from when his mom threw a glass bottle at his head. Multiple restraining orders his dad had filed against her, only to withdraw them, probably because she'd begged or threatened him. The dates went back for years. Photo after photo, each one making my stomach turn more. I grabbed his phone and started taking pictures of the screen with mine. People need to see this, I said, my voice shaking. No. Brian snatched his phone back. You don't get it. She'll make it worse. She always does. After school, my mom was waiting. She barely let me get in the car. I heard you were talking to that Brian kid in the library. What did I tell you? Mom, you don't understand. No discussion. You are staying away from him. She gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white. His father is dangerous. The whole community knows it. But what if the whole community is wrong? I pulled out my phone. What if I could show you? Mom slammed on the brakes at a red light and turned to me, her eyes blazing. Whatever sob story they fed you, I don't want to hear it. Abusers always claim to be victims. Always. At home, she took my phone and grounded me. No computer except for homework, which she would be checking. The next few days were torture. At school, I was a pariah. That's the kid who hangs out with the abuser's son, I heard someone whisper. I started using the library computers during lunch, digging into public records. Brian's mom, Catherine, had a history. Restraining orders from 2 ex-boyfriends before she even met Brian's dad. An arrest for assault at a bar. I was printing out the pages when Mrs. Patterson, the nosiest parent volunteer in the school, appeared behind me. That afternoon, Mom was waiting for me in the principal's office, looking furious. Mrs. Patterson sat beside her, looking smug. The silent car ride home was terrifying. Then, Mom exploded. You're obsessed with defending these people. What is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I yelled back. What's wrong with everyone else? You're destroying an innocent family because you're too stubborn to even look at the evidence. Go to your room. It only got worse. They moved my classes so I wouldn't see Brian. They gave me a different lunch period. A guidance counselor started pulling me out of class for check-ins. One day, I saw Brian's dad at the grocery store. He looked thin, his clothes hanging off him. He was buying the cheapest bread and a jar of peanut butter. When he saw me, he flinched and quickly looked away. I followed him outside. Mr. Davidson. He stopped but didn't turn around. You shouldn't talk to me, kid. It'll only make things worse for you. I know the truth, I said. Brian showed me. His shoulders sagged. He finally turned, his eyes red-rimmed and exhausted. The truth doesn't matter when no one wants to hear it. You're a good kid, but stay away from us. For your own sake. He drove off in his car, the word predator still faintly visible under a cheap coat of paint. That night, Mom came into my room and told me she'd made an appointment with a therapist. Someone who specializes in children who've been influenced by dangerous individuals. My blood ran cold. You think I'm brainwashed? I think you're confused, she said coldly, and I'm going to fix this. She left me there, shaking with rage. They were trying to build walls around me, to isolate me, to force me to believe their lie. But late that night, I heard her on the phone, talking to someone in a careful, measured tone. Yes, I'm very concerned. He's obsessed, taking pictures of supposed evidence. I think they've really gotten into his head. She was building her own case, against me, using the same playbook Catherine had used against Brian's dad. I was obsessed, manipulated, unstable. That's when I realized they could take my phone, lock my computer, separate me from Brian. They could even send me to therapy. but they couldn't change what I knew. And I wasn't going to let an innocent family be destroyed, even if it meant fighting my own mother, even if it meant the whole town would turn against me. Because sometimes, telling the truth means you have to become the villain in everyone else's story. The next morning, I woke up with a plan. It was risky. It was probably stupid. But Brian's latest note slipped into a library book, said they had 2 weeks until eviction. 2 weeks to save them. I kissed my mom goodbye like nothing was wrong and walked into school, ready for war. I started using computer labs when teachers weren't looking, creating fake accounts, digging deeper into Catherine's past. Her old social media was a goldmine of angry rants and one particularly telling post. Some people just need to learn their lesson the hard way. I always get what I want in the end. I screenshotted everything. Then Brian's next note came. Dad collapsed. Not eating enough. We're sleeping in the car now. My hands shook. I had to move faster. After school, I told my dad, who was finally back from a business trip, to drive me past Brian's old apartment. The car was gone. We checked parking lot after parking lot until I spotted it, tucked away behind a grocery store. Brian's dad was slumped in the driver's seat. Brian was curled up in the back, trying to sleep. Dad, please, I begged. Just look at them. Does that look like a dangerous man to you? My dad stared for a long, silent moment. Then, instead of driving home, he pulled into the grocery store. He came out with 2 bags of groceries and a hot rotisserie chicken. I watched him walk over and knock gently on the window. I saw Brian's dad jerk awake, fear flashing across his face, but my dad just held up the bags. They talked for a few minutes, Brian's dad shaking his head, before Dad finally left the groceries on the hood of their car and walked back. He didn't want to take it, Dad said as we drove away. I told him it wasn't charity, just one father helping another. That night, I heard my parents arguing, but this time, Dad's voice was different. What if we're wrong, Janet? What if we're destroying an innocent family? The next morning, I showed Dad everything. The photos, the court records, Catherine's threatening posts. He studied each piece, his face growing more and more troubled. This is substantial, he finally said. We had a plan, but we were too late. Monday morning, everything exploded. I got to school and saw police cars in the parking lot, pushing through the crowd of whispering students. I saw it. Brian's dad was in handcuffs. Brian was standing beside a police car, tears streaming down his face. And Catherine was there, holding a bloody tissue to her nose, talking animatedly to an officer. He attacked me, she cried. I just wanted to talk about our son, and he went crazy. It was a setup. I knew it instantly. That's not true. I shouted, pushing forward. She's lying. I have evidence. She's the abuser. An officer blocked my path, but over his shoulder, Catherine's eyes met mine, and she smiled. A small, triumphant smile. They put Brian's dad in the car. Catherine grabbed Brian's arm. You're coming home with me, sweetheart. No. Brian screamed, trying to pull away. I won't go with you. But they made him go. I watched, helpless, as she dragged him to her car. He looked back at me, his eyes wide with terror. That night, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. All I could think about was Brian, trapped in that house with her. The next day, I snuck out of school and ran to her house. I heard shouting, a crash, and then Brian's voice, high and scared. Please, Mom, I'm sorry. I called 911. But when the police came, Catherine answered the door, perfectly calm. Oh, that must have been the TV officers. An action movie. So sorry. And they believed her. They just left. That was it. The adults wouldn't listen. The system wouldn't listen. So I decided to make them. That afternoon, I recorded a video. I laid out the entire timeline. I showed the evidence, the screenshots of the threats, the court documents, Catherine's own words. My name is, I said, my voice shaking, and I'm about to tell you the truth about Catherine Davidson. I uploaded it to YouTube and anonymously shared the link in the parent Facebook group. My mom burst into my room an hour later, furious. Take it down, now. No, I said. Ground me forever. That video stays up. Dad stood in the doorway. Janet, I watched it. I think we need to consider that our son is telling the truth. The video exploded. Thousands of views. The comments were a war zone. But then, a breakthrough. A woman named Sarah commented, Catherine Davidson was my college roommate. Everything this kid is saying is true. She put her ex-boyfriend in the hospital and convinced everyone he was the abuser. I have photos. She posted them. The final piece of the puzzle. But Catherine wasn't done. Saturday night, she posted a frantic message on Facebook. My troubled son Brian has run away. He's been so brainwashed. Please help me find him. She did a tearful interview on the local news. The whole town was looking for a runaway. But I knew. Brian wouldn't run. She was hiding him. I called the police. They dismissed me. So I did the only thing I could. I went live on my phone. Brian Davidson didn't run away, I said, my voice raw. His mother is hiding him. She is dangerous. Please, help me find him before it's too late. The live video spread like wildfire. The public pressure became immense. Tips poured in. Someone had seen her car near an old storage facility. The police, finally forced to act, went to investigate. And they found him, locked inside a storage unit. He was safe, but terrified. The news broke Sunday morning. Catherine was arrested, screaming about conspiracies as they led her away in handcuffs. Brian's dad was released, all charges dropped. The video of Brian running into his father's arms went viral. The community that had condemned them was forced to see the truth. They had been wrong. My mom came home that night. She stood in my doorway for a long time. I was wrong, she whispered. I was so focused on protecting you. I refused to see what was right in front of me. I was doing what was easy. Our family slowly began to heal. Brian and his dad got a fresh start, with help from a GoFundMe that Sarah started. The same people who had shunned them were now donating to help them rebuild. But they were moving to another state. The day before he left, Brian gave me a small box. Inside was a simple compass on a chain. So you always know the right direction, he said, even when everyone else is lost. I watched their moving truck disappear around the corner, my best friend gone. My mom put her arm around me. You did a good thing, she said. Even though it hurts now. It did hurt. Standing up for the truth had cost me friends, it had fractured my family, and in the end, I still lost my best friend. But that night, I got a text from Brian. Made it to Oregon. Dad smiling. A real smile. Thank you. And I smiled, too. A real smile. For the first time in months. Because the truth, no matter how much it costs, is always worth fighting for. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How easily a lie can take hold in a community. Tell me what you think. Did I do the right thing? Or did I go too far? I really want to know.